What's good, my friends? How we doing upstate? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. today.
Give Mark 10 minutes. His voice will warm up. It'll be roaring like a crackling fire. Right now, it sounds like a prepubescent little boy.
Hello. How are you guys today? Fantastic to be here. What was your prepubescent voice like, Diesel? Do you remember what it sounded like?
Probably sounded like that.
Hello.
Had sort of a Mickey Mouse thing going on.
It really does.
Hi, guys. Do you like sports talk? Let's do it. Huh?
I could never listen to that crap. Oh, please stop. Fantastic to be here with you guys today. Here's how you can take.
I'll stop. Never again. Wrong. Not going to do it. No.
Are you going to win the debate next month, sir?
There will be no one else even in the debate. Yes, my opponent will be across the aisle, but he's going to get decimated. That sort of drifted into more JFK territory.
It did. What is your opponent's name?
Joe Blyben. Joe Blyben, I think, is his name. Yeah.
No, it's the Republican debate.
Oh, okay. I don't even like talking about this guy because every time I do, it makes me hungry, but also delicious. Meatball Ron.
Fantastic to have you guys with us here on the most interactive sports. We were one bad mistake away, Diesel, from having to refire the intro music and starting the whole show over again. You realize that? One bad
false start on the offense.
Yeah, 5 yards, first down. Here's how you guys can take part in what we've got cooking. 844 fan phone. That's 844-326-3663 is the number. The text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go on the show. Coming up on the show today, I have got my definitive SEC program rankings to share with you on the show. How has this team held on to you for so long? We've got Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beard joining us at 4 o'clock. We've got our Upstate's favorite athlete bracket coming your way at 4:20 today. We're going to ask you at 4:40 today, and I'd love for you to be thinking about it. Okay? Would love for you to be thinking about it. What is one thing you would change about Clemson and South Carolina? Okay? One thing you would change. If you had to change one thing, even if one of those two is your schools, right? One of those two is the top school for 81% of you. Okay. But even if you had to change something, what would that one change be? Diesel and I will have our list for you at 4:40 p.m. Our ACC and SEC team preview series continues today at 5:20. It is time for the third most popular team in the upstate, the Georgia Bulldogs, coming your way at 5:20 p.m. today. Plus, the very short list of quarterbacks who can actually win the Super Bowl this year. And you here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. Love you. Appreciate you greatly. Could not do it without you. Diesel, I don't know. I honestly don't know why we are such an unbelievably irresistible target for everybody. Perhaps it's because we're the only show that isn't afraid to give its opinion on anything. I'm trying to figure out the why there, okay? But we are such an unavoidable, irresistible target for everybody. The person who runs our competition station, you don't even know this, Diesel. I'm sharing this with you live for the first time.
Ooh, sounds juicy.
Yeah, he said an hour ago about what took place yesterday at the end of the show. And if you missed what happened yesterday towards the end of the show, don't worry. We will, favorite word in the English dictionary, get you abreast of that information. But the person who runs our competitor station said a couple of hours ago, JV radio going to do JV radio things. Okay? A dig at us for doing nothing but giving our opinion on Shane Beamer at South Carolina. Do you see what he's trying to do, folks? Do you see this? Like, it's very easy and obvious, and because content always wins, he has no chance of making this happen. What he's trying to do, Diesel, is he's trying to say, well, okay, we already know there's a percentage of the Gamecock fan base that do not like Offsides with Mark and Diesel. So let's get the Clemson side not to like Mark and Diesel, and then they'll have nobody that likes them, and they'll have no audience. And it's very clear what he's trying to do.
He's also trying to insert himself into the maelstrom so that he can get a little attention for his account and his show and his station, because clearly no one's that interested in what they're doing over there. We're the ones creating the buzz, and they say, hey, can we get a little bit of that over here, please?
And so, look, it is never the if you guys ever saw the movie Anchorman, right? It's never number one that's punching down at number two. It's always number two that's punching up at number one. That's the way that it always goes.
Unless you're talking about the absolutely savage Wendy's Twitter account when they do roast me days.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And Wendy's rips everyone to shreds.
But that's in good nature and it's fun. I mean, apparently. I mean, you have to volunteer to be roasted, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I responded to the person who runs our competitor station, Diesel, and I said, national radio going to do national things. Fixed it for you. Those shows who have national acclaim don't have to talk bleep because they're already there. And I have no response from him. And predictably, a couple of Clemson fans are, they think that the competitor station represents them. So they think a dig at the competitor station is a dig at them. Folks, never forget, okay, that somebody carrying a station, okay, does not mean airing a team's games doesn't make a station part of that team, okay? Content wins. Truth-telling wins. And that's where we win here at the Fan Upstate over and over and over again in literally every area that counts. Now, I recently went on an unblocking spree on Twitter. Everyone who was unblocked, I unblocked. Everyone who was muted, I unmuted. And that opens you up to tools like the guy who runs our competitor station. But I am not just going to sit back any longer and let the peanut gallery take shots at us because 2 punches up at number 1. It's just not going to happen, okay? Do not let them convince you that them airing Clemson's games makes them in any way, shape, or form a part of that team, because it doesn't in any way, shape, or form. Furthermore, this mention of JV radio going to do JV radio things, which station was it, Diesel, that is most recently broadcasted from a trailer? How do I know? Because I had to do a couple shows out there, okay? How do I know? Back in 2019, a freaking trailer. Who is JV Radio? The largest talk format company in America, okay? Or, literally trailer park radio. I
mean, there are some Gamecock fans in the audience. I'm going to tell the joke for you. A trailer in Clemson is the nicest house in Pickens County. Now that I'm just telling a joke for the Gamecock fans, Tiger fans. Keep your claws in your paws.
Yeah. That's a good one, Diesel. Keep your claws in your paws. Is that new?
Yeah, just off the top of my head.
That's good. That's good. Keep your claws in your paws. So anyway, what is this about? It's amazing that they jump in, Diesel, when this doesn't involve their side of the rivalry at all.
Sure.
This has everything to do with something that went down yesterday on the show. We were talking about Shane Beamer on the show yesterday. Big surprise. We talk Clemson and South Carolina every day here on the show. We'll talk Clemson and South Carolina today on the show. We do it every single day. And we asked you guys an open-ended question. Is Shane Beamer, and I'm resetting this in case you missed it from yesterday, when all is said and done, is Shane Beamer going to be closer to Will Muschamp or closer to Steve Spurrier in terms of what he accomplishes?
Ooh, I should throw the flag on you.
Yeah, you should, but we both made so many mistakes to open the show, Diesel. I think we both get one get out of jail free card, right? So we asked you guys that question. Is Beamer going to be more like Muschamp when all is said and done, or more like Spurrier? And we left open the possibility that he could be better than Steve Spurrier. So Diesel puts out a tweet with that segment, okay? And the tweet reads the following. Shane Beamer has done a better job than most at creating a positive culture at South Carolina. But in many aspects, he's the equal of Will Muschamp. Will he ultimately end up closer to Muschamp or ascend to the heights of Steve Spurrier? And this is a pretty typical, innocuous commentary from us. We ask pointed questions about the rivalry. Only yesterday, one of the best college football writers in America, Brad Crawford, took serious exception to this. And he did so, in so doing, committing a very, very rookie mistake of popping off without even listening to the audio. He said, imagine saying Shane Beamer is the equal to Muschamp after 2 seasons. Well, we didn't. We said in many aspects, he's the equal of Will Muschamp. We can elaborate that in a moment. He says Beamer inherited a dumpster fire post-COVID and has a top 25 finish. One point I didn't get to with Brad yesterday, Diesel, but I wish we had. What about the dumpster fire that Will Muschamp inherited? Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you remember how Will Muschamp took over?
He wasn't exactly given the keys to a Ferrari.
No. I mean, like a coach who quit, who had stopped recruiting years before, and Muschamp had to take over that.
And a lot of Gamecock fans loved Coach Boom after 2 seasons.
Oh, they did?
You loved him. Now you hate him. I get that's why you're getting your feathers all riled up here, because you think about the entirety of his tenure, and obviously it went way off the tracks. But we focus on the first 2 years. We compare 2 years to 2 years, not 2 years to entire tenure.
So anyway, Brad closes his tweet by saying, please don't spread fake news. And it blew up. And Diesel mentioned it to me during the commercial break. And next thing I know, I'm looking down at my phone and Brad Crawford is texting me, let me on the show. Let's talk about this. So we have him on the show and we talk about it. And look, guys, I don't write people off from one bad experience. I hope you don't write me off from one bad show or one thing that I shouldn't have said that I actually said. But Brad Crawford, whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for, whom I read on a daily basis, made the rookie mistake of popping off without listening to the audio. Then he tried to say, now I listen to the audio and the point still stands. But that was just Diesel. Boop, boop,
well, and we were arguing
backtracking.
two different things.
Sure.
He was arguing that he didn't like the take. We were arguing you popped off without listening to the take. And so his argument was, well, I said what I said without listening to the audio. But then I went back and listened to it and I decided, well, I think my point still stands, so I'm going to support it anyway. And I'm like, Brad, time doesn't work that way. You admitted flat out that you popped off not knowing what the hell it was you were talking about. Now, you were justified in your own mind after the fact, and I'm glad you feel that you were still justified after the fact. But we are arguing two very different things. He's arguing Shane Beamer's tenure. We are arguing you popped off without reading or listening to the audio, and you have people who do that to your content every single day, and you are guilty of doing the same thing that your readers do that drives you nuts.
And I maintain, Diesel, had he listened to the audio, he would not have popped off. Just like this listener, Michael Cobb, said, quote, I must confess to Mark Ryan and the fan upstate, I took the clickbait, listening to the bit and then the piece with Brad Crawford. Mark was nothing but fair and honest. Diesel, too. He made great level-headed points, and I hate that. So he hates it. So, folks, here is where Beamer has beaten Muschamp. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it down the middle like we always do. Beamer has beaten Muschamp in terms of program morale.
Yes.
In terms of getting the fan base excited. In terms of culture, right? He has beaten Muschamp. He has beaten Muschamp in terms of top 10 wins. He has beaten Muschamp in terms of the blue chip ratio, which South Carolina hit for the first time ever last year. Now, to fully hit it, you need to do it over 4 years. But last year was the first year that South Carolina has ever hit the blue chip ratio. That's where Beamer has beaten Muschamp. Where he has lost to Muschamp is saying, well, it is the one-loss record. Okay, well, he hasn't beaten Muschamp there. Okay, he has not beaten Muschamp in the one-loss record there even. He has slightly lost to Muschamp in the average recruiting ranking. that he's had since he's taken over as South Carolina head coach. He's lost to Muschamp, even if you remove his first class, which was ranked 79th. Okay, even if you take that away, that's not fair to count that against him. He still lost to Muschamp narrowly in the recruiting battle. But if you really want the full picture, folks, if you just want to be mad at us, be mad at us. But if you want the whole picture and the entire conversation, realize I predicted Shane Beamer will make South Carolina what Virginia Tech was to his dad, Frank. And he will retire as a Gamecock lifer at the age of 68. But we're not interested in the whole story here, Diesel. We're interested in, you said one sentence that pissed me off, so we're only going to focus on that. We're not interested in this clip from the Spurs Up show yesterday. So the same day that we had the clip that Brad Crawford went nuts about, okay? Similar conversation on Shane Beamer. This was on the Daily Crow with Chris Phillips. Here's what I said about Shane Beamer yesterday.
In his first 2 years at South Carolina, Chris, he's maximized the potential. That first season, me and you playing quarterback, Chris, a winning record with that at the quarterback position? Really? You know, you heard me describe the basketball team as G.G. Jackson and four guys from the Y. That was the quarterback position his first year, Chris. And he had posted a winning record. Last year, back-to-back top 10 wins, making that home atmosphere at Willie B what it needs to be again. He's done all he can through 2 years. And if he achieves that, Chris, in year three, if we're saying, man, Beamer is 3 for 3 at maximizing the potential on this team, then you'll know that the future is so bright there that you need shades. And I think he can do it. You guys know, and I've done the research, coaches usually pop in year three. The coaches that are going to pop usually pop in the modern era in year three. And so a lot of folks are saying, well, it's not going to happen this year, et cetera, et cetera. Man, it very well could, because Beamer's been doubted 2 years now, and he's beaten the doubters 2 for 2. He's beaten the analytics 2 for 2. I sure as hell am not going to be the one to doubt him, Chris.
Does that sound like a guy who just does nothing but crap on the Gamecocks? Does that sound like a guy that is deserving of being tarred and feathered and lit on fire yesterday, which is exactly what happened? See, folks, again, realize the societal problem here. We don't stop to listen to anything anymore. We see a headline, the headline pisses us off, and we go scorched earth. I'm putting myself in the category with you guys. And not even a national college football writer in Brad Crawford was immune from making that mistake. We're here. We're better than ever. We've got national college football writers taking shots at us. We've got our competitor station who routinely takes losses to us, taking shots at us. All right. And we're here, and we're better than ever, and we love you guys to pieces. And this area has forever needed a station and a show that would keep it right down the middle, that would call the rivalry right down the middle. And ladies and gentlemen, Diesel and I are your huckleberries. All right? And we always will be. We pledge, we promise to always call things like we say it. All right? And if we ever make things unfair, I hope we're punished for it. Okay? But we pledge to always keep things down the line, to always give you our true opinion, and to always be fair. That is our pledge. That is our credo. That is our commitment. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663 is the number. Madcraft wants to know, was the childlike voice at the beginning of the show the leprechaun of Lyman? It may have been Madcraft. Let's see here. Clem sucks, South Carolina. Welcome to cousin-loving country. That's what a texter says. Clemson fans, you're not going to let them get away with that, right? Texter says, I enjoyed Will Muschamp. Good recruiter, just couldn't make it happen on the field. Not a bad guy, though. No hard feelings. Texter says, even if Brad's points stand, they were all weak-ass points. He sounded like a fanboy. Like we see Diesel every single year.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, what Brad was guilty of And I went back and listened to that entire interview this morning. What Brad was guilty of. Brad was guilty of predicting and prognosticating and believing that to be inevitable fact. Well, he did this last year, so he's going to be better this year. He did this year, so he's going to be better the next year. He's done this, so he's going to do more of it next year. That's fanboy prognostication. You can't issue a prediction as fact. Same as I said to him yesterday, that's not how time works. Now, you may predict correctly, Brad, and I hope you do. I hope you do. It makes football in this state and the way we talk about it on this show so much more compelling if South Carolina is good. I hope that Shane Beamer does everything Gamecock fans want and expect him to do. But you can't argue your hopes and dreams and predictions as if they're going to be fact. We can only discuss what we know. It's not what you think, it's what you know. That was Denzel Washington in the movie Training Day.
Yeah.
What you know is what you can prove.
There you go.
There you go. It's close enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brad was guilty of fan smaculation and saying, well, I'm going to clutch my pearls and get so mad at you for saying this because I believe that he'll be better this year. And again, I hope that he is.
You know how certain people, Walter White, for instance, break bad? Brad Crawford suddenly this year, Diesel, broke public defender of the Gamecocks. When did he become the Gamecocks apologist, the voice of Gamecock fans, right? Like, he's made that his mission statement, and it's a bit odd. And admittedly, yesterday, that resulted in him taking on behavior that was very much like the 10 percenters, popping off without even hearing what he was popping off about, right? So it was just, it was interesting. I like Brad. I think he's a really good dude. I don't think yesterday was his best moment. I think he's a very compelling writer, and I'll still read his work. All right, but yesterday was not his best moment, to say the least. Spur Daddy says, Mark, I was on the Daily Crows YouTube chat today, taking up for y'all, brother. Dude was calling you Mar Cryan. I've been called Marcia. I've been called Mark Lyon. And now I'm called Mar Cryan. That's great. Texter says, I hated the Muschamp hire from the get-go. I already had the proof he was a loser at UF. Enough for me. Never take another team's sloppy seconds. South Carolina has done that way too much. Way too much. Whether it be Clemson transfers, whether it be Florida coaches, you name it, stop doing it. Stop doing that. All right, coming up next on the show, I'm going to give to you my undeniable and indisputable SEC program rankings. We will do that next here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. The CW has landed a deal to broadcast 50 ACC games this coming season. Good news or bad news if you're a Clemson fan, Diesel? The CW.
People will make fun of it, but the CW has an awful lot of distribution. The CW is on like everyone's cable package. So they'll laugh that it's on the CW, but it's on TV. You've got more games on TV as a conference, and that's never a bad thing.
I mean, that's one way to size it.
It ain't like Conference USA that was playing games on Facebook 2 years ago. Streaming games live on Facebook.
That's no good.
No.
That's really not good.
And they were having to do that because they didn't have any affiliation with ESPN. Like, they were not on ESPN Plus at the time. They were not on ESPN linear networks. They were broadcasting on like what Bally or CBS Sports Network, which almost no one has on their cable package, and Facebook.
844 fan phone. That's 844-326-3663 is the number to get to us on the show this afternoon. Truly do appreciate everyone chiming in. Texter says, great line, Diesel. You don't know what you don't know either. Teaching life lessons over here. Just like actions speak louder than words. Words that you've said. 100%.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
That's absolutely right.
Love that movie.
Let's go. Training day. Denzel, my friends, I thought today I would give you a ranking of the SEC programs as they stand today. Now, what this list isn't is a predicted order of finish for this year. What this list is a total look at program prestige that factors in history, right? And it essentially also is kind of like, well, what would be the best jobs if they were open? What makes a job a great job, right? Fan base, booster support, history, great stadium, great facilities, great recruiting territory, right? So in terms of prestige in the SEC, in terms of overall program rankings, what do we got? Here we go. SEC Program Rankings 2023 edition. Right here on Offsides, the Fan Upstate.
You better get used to this music while you can, because it's about to go to the Big Ten.
Is it really? I mean, are they going to change the song?
I'm sure they'll change it.
They need to change the song, but the fact, like, I would pay whatever it takes, Diesel, to get this song, to port this song over. Then if you got rights to it, I'd keep it a secret until the first SEC game on that network, right? And then, like, imagine the feel good that it would be. Imagine the feel good, but we're going to lose it, and that's going to suck. You know, I hope all the networks that be have their best musical people working on a kick-ass jam, because how much are we going to miss this one? What does this song do to you guys? What does it do? Like, music has the power. This song makes me happy. I said, Diesel, I got to have the SEC on CBS theme today, man. Let us rock out through Friday with that. Number 14, predictable as can be, Vanderbilt. Really the only school in the conference that never belongs in the conference. It is long known that the only reason Vanderbilt is in the SEC is to boost the academic standing, to boost the academic rating. And Clark Lee decided to take the job at Vanderbilt in part because they pledged to be different. They pledged to do things differently. I value actions, not words. We will see if that happens. 13th program, second to last in the SEC. I'm going Mississippi State. Look, they've been better of late under Mike Leach. They had a good decade-long stretch under Dan Mullen. But in terms of history, in terms of prestige, in terms of belief you can win at the SEC level consistently or win conference championships, I think only Vanderbilt is worse. Number 12 for me, I'm going Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers, the face of SEC mediocrity.
Drinkwitz.
That's it. And folks, again, just an odd fit for me, Missouri and the SEC. A Big Ten school is an SEC country, and it hasn't felt like it's fit at any point. I don't know why teams struggle when they go to Missouri. I don't quite get that. My team struggles, the Gamecocks struggle, but Missouri is essentially morphing into a program that is just never a threat. They're literally never a threat. Number 11 for me, I am going to go with the Arkansas Razorbacks. It's not that Arkansas doesn't have a strong history in football or a history in football, but the reality is, folks, they haven't been consistently good. And the shine is beginning to wear off of Sam Pittman, who in 3 years at Arkansas has a record of just 19-17. They're losing coordinators left and right as well. They're projected to be 7-5 this year. That's about what they are. Is Sam Pittman the guy that can take them to the next level? Number 10 overall program in the SEC. This might seem harsh to some, but I'm going to Kentucky Wildcats. Look, the history really isn't there. Mark Stoops has entered about as much of a golden era for Kentucky football as any one person could possibly usher in. But you might not remember this. I asked Josh Pate a year ago on the show, has Kentucky football reached their ceiling? And Josh Pate said yes. Where is their ceiling? Where are they today? They're at a place where they're scheduling 4 cupcakes in the non-conference schedule to try to get to 8 wins every year and begging the league not to add a 9th conference game. They are a blue-colored team. They are a blue-collared team. And that's all they've got. They're never really going to out-talent you. I've got Kentucky number 10. Number 9 is where I have the South Carolina Gamecocks. Fair or unfair? That is my overall program ranking for where South Carolina is today in the SEC. Really good run under Steve Spurrier that has been unable to be duplicated or maintained by anyone before him or anybody after him. The combination of Rattler to Juice Wells is going to be incredible this year. But this year, South Carolina has a chance to level up as a program. They've had random good years with other head coaches, not named Steve Spurrier. They haven't been able to maintain those. South Carolina, for me, the number 9 ranked program out of 14 in the Southeastern Conference. All right, let's see here. I'm going to have Ole Miss number 8 on the list. All right, I'm going to have Ole Miss number 8 on the list. Why? I'm going to say Ole Miss is number 8 on the list because Lane Kiffin is doing good things, but they don't have an overly storied history, if I'm honest with you. No overly storied history. All right? So I need to bump Ole Miss down a peg. I need to do that. Next up, we've got Auburn at number 7 on the list. Auburn has won national championships. Auburn has made national championship games. All right. But Auburn has fallen on a bit of a hard time. Auburn cannot consistently win. Auburn beats Alabama every few years, and that's about their greatest accomplishment. About 10 years ago, there was a real debate in the Iron Bowl. Now that debate is open and shut. Guys, I'm going to make an audible on the fly here. I'm going to add Texas and Oklahoma to the list in the SEC. So here's how that changes what we've done already. Vanderbilt is now number 16. Mississippi State number 15. Missouri 14. Arkansas 13. Kentucky 12. South Carolina 11. Ole Miss 10. Auburn 9. Number 8 for me. I'm going to Tennessee Volunteers. Look, I've got high hopes for what Josh Heupel can do. I really do. He's got a really electrifying offense, and Tennessee has a very winning history and tradition. But they haven't been relevant in oh so long, and last year was the very first glimpse of that. Number 7 for me, I'm going Texas A&M. The Aggies. Home of the 12th man, history, tradition, expensive coaches, paying for recruits, right? But when is the last time A&M won the national championship? That's why I have number 6 ahead of them, the Florida Gators. Florida, 3 national championships in the last 26 years. The last 10 years have not been great. Florida has fallen from number 1 on this list to number 6, but I can't drop the Gators below that. We'll see if Billy Napier can turn them around. I am of the belief that he can. Number 5 best program in the SEC for me. I will put in Oklahoma. Oklahoma has more playoff berths, right, than anybody not named Clemson, Alabama, or Ohio State. Oklahoma has more playoff berths than anybody, not with one of those 3 names. A storied, proud franchise that reestablished Old Glory under Bob Stoops. I like Oklahoma as the 5th best program in the SEC. I'll go Texas number 4, the richest program in all of college football. That money will not allow them to be mediocre for very long. They're in an it city. They're an it program, so it's laughable that they don't win at a higher level. I will go LSU number 3, recent national champions, consistent, dominant team, new elite level coach, Brian Kelly, 3rd best program in the SEC. And then there is a debate, 2-1. But you see, folks, these rankings are not based just on the last 2 years. They're based on everything up until this point. So I've got Georgia 2 and Alabama 1 on my SEC programs list here. All right. Alabama for the most national championships of all time. Alabama for Nick Saban. Alabama for consistent, sustained excellence, even though Georgia is probably a wee bit ahead of where Alabama is for the 2023 season. So there we have it, folks. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Georgia. Number 3, LSU. Number 4, Texas. Number 5, Oklahoma. Number 6, Florida. 7, Texas A&M. 8, Tennessee. 9, Auburn. 10, Ole Miss. 11, South Carolina. 12, Kentucky. 13, Arkansas. 14, Missouri. 15, Mississippi State. And 16, Vanderbilt. Our program rankings in the SEC Conference heading into the 2023 season, factoring in all that has been done heading into today. All right. Those are your rankings for today, folks. What do you think? Where did I hit? Where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? And if I'm Shane Beamer and I'm looking at this, I love the challenge ahead of me. All right, first step is get South Carolina into the top 10 of those programs. You got to jump Ole Miss and Auburn to do that. Then the next level up is Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Florida. Those programs have had historical success dating back 25 or 30 years. By the time your tenure is done at South Carolina, can you be a top 5 program in the SEC? It's going to be fun to watch. For now, I have the Gamecocks 11th, my alma mater 6th, and the medal stand, LSU 3rd, Georgia 2nd, and Alabama 1st. All right, my friends, coming up next on the show, how has this team held on to you for so long? It's a question that bears your response, that pleads for your response. And it's one that will get your response next right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ron, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. What's good to all our YouTube people? JD Wyatt, Madcraft, Spur Daddy. Good to see you guys in on the chat this afternoon. Gonna have some fun here, man, over the next few hours. Texter says, Diesel, give it to Mark. He went back 26 years for Florida. And when I said the ACC has won 3 national titles in 10 years, I got scolded on the show. Well, what does that mean, Texter? You won 3 national championships in 10 years. You are giving the entire conference credit for the ACC having one dominant team. Well, Mark Ryan, the SEC has the same problem. Really? Do you know that in the current run for the Southeastern Conference, you know how many teams have won the national championship? Anybody? Fry, Bueller? You've got Florida. You've got LSU. You've got Georgia. You've got Alabama. Right? The ACC has 1 from a special run from Florida State and 2 for Clemson. The problem is the ACC has been Clemson and garbage for a very, very, very long time. And whereas Alabama for a stretch did separate itself from the SEC, the rest of the SEC was routinely pounding other teams into oblivion. You know, like no comparison, not close. So I'll ask you guys this question because, from time to time, both sides of the rivalry are mad at us. And I'm totally okay with that. I'm down with that. Okay. I want to be the minority. We're totally down with that. Okay. Do you guys believe, as listeners of the show, okay, do you believe, yay or nay, that we are fair when it comes to Clemson, South Carolina? Yes or no? 71307 on the text line. Just start your text with the word fan. That's the number you text to. And just say, yeah, you guys are fair, or no, you guys are biased, or no, you're unfair, and keep it right down the line. I'm curious how you'd answer that. If you're on the YouTube page right now, you see the background that we have here. We have a Clemson flag in the background. We have a Gamecock flag in the background. We have Carolina Panthers. We have March Madness. We have Furman. We have the Greenville Triumph. We have the Greenville Liberty. All in the background right here in our studio. And it is our mission, right? It is our mission to give you our straight skinny and give you our straight scoop on Clemson or South Carolina, not to tell you what you want to hear, but to tell you what you need to hear, right? You want the truth. You can't handle the truth. That's why you hear all of those drops, Jack Nicholson, etc., on this show. It's part of the branding for our show because it's who we are, right? It's who we are. So do you guys generally feel like our show, Offsides, Mark and Diesel, do you feel like we are fair in the rivalry? Would you say that we are the one show or the one station in the upstate that calls it right down the line? You know, here's what I know, okay? I'll share with you what I know. I know that Lonzo openly hates Clemson. I don't know how he could be confused with keeping it 100 or keeping it unbiased. He openly hates Clemson. I know that Rob absolutely does his A-level best to keep it right down the line. And I know that Diesel had a grandfather who played at Clemson, okay? And Diesel generally likes to see Clemson fare well. But Diesel will also get on the air and be very open about the fact that he's bent that Clemson is the only school that hasn't sent us a flag yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know?
They directed us to their team store. Furman sent us stuff. The Triumph sent us stuff. The Liberty sent us stuff. Wofford sent us stuff. South Carolina sent us stuff. Clemson directed us to the team store.
Like, I don't know. That's a problem. Right? I mean, it's not cool. They did say they were going to send us stuff. I hope that we get a flag from Clemson. I'd love to get a flag from Clemson, right? We'd love to air it here. But at the same time, you know, like I'd like to think we're one of the only ones who call it right down the line. You know, what do you guys think? 71307 on the text line. Okay, we've got a loaded 4 o'clock hour for you this afternoon. Loaded, absolutely loaded. Here's what's coming up. We've got Brent Beard in the next segment. We've got the Upstate's favorite athlete bracket, new matchup, new winner to crown. And what is one thing you would change about Clemson or South Carolina? That, my friends, is next. And this is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. today. Fantastic to have you guys with us. Never do take you for granted. Always do appreciate you guys making us part of your day and part of your afternoon. Know you have a ton of options out there. All right, my friends. Our next guest joins us each and every week. And you guys may not know this, but we've reached an era. Maybe I shouldn't remind him. I've long felt like we can't afford him. But in today's day and age, folks, in sports media, when you have people on every week, you typically have to pay them to do that. You know, like you'll get like a Tim Brando or somebody on a one-off. But if you want it to be consistent, you got to pay them. Well, Brent Beard joins us each and every week. I don't know why, perhaps merely for out of the goodness of his kind heart. And we love the insight he gives us. And unbelievably, and I'm embarrassed to say this, I've never met Brent Beard in person. There are those of you listening right now that have met me in the last couple weeks, right? Brent Beard has been coming on on our show since my Florida Panhandle days, Diesel, since like 2009. And I've never met Brent Beard in person. Brent, we need to change that, my friend. We got to change that sooner than later. What do you say?
Well, I agree with that totally. I wish that we had a situation where we were going to get together in Nashville next week for media days. Hopefully one of these days we can be able to do that. But yes, that certainly needs to happen. And look, I mean, sooner or later, as many mutual friends as we have, you would think, Mark, that something's going to happen when we can. But we'll look forward to that day when it does. But anytime you want to send a check in the mail, okay, that's fine too.
Brent Beard joining us here on the show, Heisman Trophy voter, First Coast News in Jacksonville. So, Brent, we kicked the hornet's nest yesterday when we were drawing comparisons between Shane Beamer and Will Muschamp, and Brad Crawford on 24/7 Sports took great exception to that, ended up coming on the show and joining us on the show. And Brent, I'm a very fact-oriented person. So I said, look, Beamer has beaten Muschamp in terms of morale and culture. He's beaten Muschamp in terms of 2 top 10 wins. He's beaten Muschamp in terms of the blue chip ratio, percentage of recruits that you get that are 4 or 5 stars. He has not beaten Muschamp in win-loss record, which is very important. An old wise man once said, you are what your record says you are. Right. They're both 15 and 11. He has not beaten Muschamp in average recruiting ranking. And then, Brent, we have this piece of knowledge that the analytics this year are saying that the Gamecocks are going to be a 6-6 or 7-5 team. So, Brent, let me ask you this. When is it fair to draw a comparison between the two?
Well, I mean, do we wait another 2 or 3 years before we do that? I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I've always said, people have brought it up to me that Gus Malzahn is an elite coach, and my comeback to that is Gus Malzahn averages 8-4 every year. And in my mind, that's not an elite coach. So I get the numbers thing. I really do. Now, the other thing is, as you know, Will was down here. He was an hour away in Gainesville. And I certainly have a lot of respect for Will, what he tried to do. He was, I don't know if close is a word, Mark, but his last couple of years, some of the Gator media told me that they thought that if they had stayed the course, then maybe they were close to a change and they were close to doing better. I'm not convinced of that, but I think you are kind of what you are, and Will is a really good defensive coordinator, and that's what he's going to be at Georgia. I mean, he's had opportunities, but as far as a head coach, I don't think that's going to work for him. And frankly, Mark Diesel, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you basically are who you are, aren't you? And after a while, you kind of have to settle with that, and maybe he has.
Brent, give me an SEC assistant coach coordinator who will not be at their current school next year because they're moving on to bigger and better things.
Well, I don't think it's going to be Tommy Reese of Alabama, even though you've got that rumor going around in that report for him going to Northwestern. I just don't think that is going to happen either. You hear a little bit about Glenn Schumann, the co-defense coordinator with much help at Georgia, of his name being bounded around a little bit. And again, that doesn't mean if you leave the SEC that you're going to another SEC school. I can tell you right now, and it's not going to be anytime soon, but 5 to 7 years from now, Austin Armstrong of Florida is going to be a real hot name that is going to be going on soon. I mean, you hear Kevin Steele from time to time, maybe being linked, but I think Steele is probably closer to retirement than he is another job. Dan Enos at Arkansas, I know he's had that experience. I don't see that right now. So I know I've thrown a lot of names out there, and these will probably more toward happening 2 or 3, 4 years down the road that's happening right now.
Brent, just want to make sure I got this right. There were no notes for today, right?
Oh, there were. But they were, well, let me see if I can do something about that as we speak. Technology is a great thing.
It is, man. It is. Yeah, I didn't.
And let the record show that I basically send them to you every day. Now, whether you get them every day is another story.
Yeah, no, I didn't get them today, but I wanted to ask you, Brent, what are to you the top 3 storylines for the upcoming SEC Media Days?
Yeah, one, and I don't know how they're going to deal with this, but the first one's got to be the Georgia off the field stuff. I mean, the on the field stuff with, okay, who's your quarterback going to be? Is it going to be Carson Beck? How's Mike Bobo going to transition in? That's one. But you just absolutely cannot ignore this Georgia situation. I think that's why Georgia went on the offensive this week and wanted the Atlanta Journal-Constitution to retract their story on the naming players. And the gist of the story was allegations that Georgia players have been involved with violence with other women, and they're still on the team. So I think that's probably going to be number one. I think probably number 2 may be for Brian Kelly, who's on the first day. Most of that team comes back. You've got a huge game with Florida State. I can't tell you how much that's building down here because I hear it every day. Our station's going to be covering that game. We're all going down there for FSU and LSU from First Coast News, so we're really excited about that. So that, I think that's a legitimate question. But so number 3 here is going to be Jimbo Fisher. Can you and Bobby Petrino have a comfortable marriage at this point? And will he actually be calling plays? How about that 3?
Brent, earlier you talked about Will Muschamp's regime there at Florida, and they were feeling as if they were close to turning a corner. Who do you hear among current staffs, and who do you believe among current staffs in the SEC find themselves in that same "we're close" position?
I mean, you've got to think. I would say, geez, I mean, I think Ole Miss is a defense away from being a lot better than probably what they are. I know Lane's won 10 games, but can that stay consistent? Is Kentucky with Liam Cohen coming back and Devin Leary at quarterback from NC State? Could they be on the verge of really doing something? And I'll tell you a team that no one has talked about is Mississippi State. Mississippi State has got several, and I don't mean one or two, but they've got several six-year players on that team. That is a veteran line of scrimmage. Will Rogers is a really good coach, and they're probably not going to run the air raid this year or very little of it. So Will Rogers is going to throw the ball deeper down the field. So, I mean, that's three quickly off the top of my head. But, boy, that frankly, Diesel, is a question that could because we've got about half this conference ready to turn the corner if things fall right, but again, they may not.
So I'm reading these storylines that you have listed here in your notes, Brent, for SEC Media Days.
Yes.
LSU, are they a legitimate SEC and playoff contender? Is the roster where it needs to be there right now?
Yes. Look, as media friends have framed it, and I agree with it, LSU has dudes, and LSU is always going to have an unbelievable amount of talent. Daniels being back is hugely important for them, but I think also the importance of Harold Perkins. Mason Smith is a defensive tackle that got hurt early in the FSU game last year. And LSU beat writers would tell you, I don't know if I want to go this far, but it's an incredible statement that of all the talent they've got on that team, that Mason Smith, the defensive tackle, may be the best player on the team. That's a mouthful right there. So, and I still say, might be wrong, but I still think when we vote, and that's announced on Thursday, that LSU would be picked to win the West over Alabama.
Now, on that note, Brent, LSU and Alabama, is Alabama slipping at all here? Is
No.
the quarterback concern such that they're sliding down the ranks in terms of the SEC? Between Alabama and Georgia, who's got a bigger quarterback question mark?
Well, I mean, they're both about equal with that, frankly. But I will say this, Carson Beck, who is from Jacksonville, has been in that program longer than any of the Alabama quarterbacks. So I think on the basis of that, I would probably go with Alabama with the biggest question, although they've got three guys who can lead them. I still say Bama's offensive line's going to be better. The running back room is going to be really good. I think the wide receivers will be better. I don't see a lot of Amari Coopers and Julio Jones in there, but they've got some really good players. And I think the defense with Kevin Steele is going to be infinitely better. I think they'll make more plays. So the question is, as long as Saban can bring in the talent that he does every year, and this week's really good evidence of that with the four guys that they've got, and that shot them up the rankings, you'll know when Bama's slipping is when Alabama at the end of the recruiting cycle is number 15 instead of number 1, 2, or 3.
Brent, 6 years from now, so 5 years into the SEC's new scheduling model, do you believe that fans will be happy or unhappy with the model that gives them some new, fresh opponents on the record every year, on the schedule every season, or do you think they'll be upset about losing some of those annual traditional opponents?
I think they'll be okay with bringing in the new kids on the block in Texas and Oklahoma. What's going to make them happy is if the SEC, I think it's two things. One, during that period of time, if they go to 9 SEC games instead of 8. And the other thing is this. If in that time period they can work this schedule where you don't have this ridiculous nonsense that you do now, that Alabama comes to Gainesville once every 10 years, and that Georgia is yet to go to Texas A&M. I mean, Mark Diesel, that's got to be straightened out, does it not? I think even if you lose a rival, if you've got a shot at playing some different teams that you don't see, and that becomes a habit, I think, and obviously because of the expanded playoff in there too, I think they'll be okay with that.
Brent, you've got another 60 or 70 years of this great life left, Brent, but what is on your college football bucket list that you haven't yet done?
Or probably the Army-Navy game is one of them, and I know some people will laugh about that. That it's not a championship game, but I don't care. I've talked to people. I'm curious if you've gone, but I have heard so much about that and would like to see that one time. There's still some places I'd love to go. I mean, I love to go to the big house, and I'd love to go to the shoe and a few places like that. Hopefully, I've got some friends. You guys probably do too. That they pick a different game every year to go to. That's outside of their sphere, which is like the SEC. And I really would like to do some of that. And I frankly would like to go and visit, some places like Utah, and just to be able to see what these schools have got. I mean, I've been to the Rose Bowl for the national championship game, but that will be fun to see games in there. And I'm and the longer I think about it, the more I want to see it. But yeah, I think those are some things. And and maybe the biggest one of all is a Heisman Trophy voter. I would love to be there one time at least for in person when they actually give it out. That would be tremendous. So still, yeah. That's a great question. Still some bucket list stuff, and maybe the biggest one of all is to be sitting in studio with you two.
Oh yeah, who could avoid that as a bucket list item? Only everybody, Brent. Only everybody. Brent. So one more thing here. We had on a guest from UF yesterday that gave us a topic that I think should be of concern to every fan in college football, and it was UF's discussion of shrinking their stadium to widen the seats and take the capacity down to 75,000 in the attempt of having more comfortable seating and more premium seating. Yeah. This, to me, Brent, threatens to kill what makes college football different and special and unique from the NFL, is that you've got a raucous atmosphere with kids who are getting in for $20 to $50 tickets, as opposed to the wine and cheese crowd, the corporate crowd that doesn't really make any noise at NFL games. So is UF really going down this road? What can be done to stop it? And your feeling of college football perhaps trending in that direction?
I mean, I see it. I certainly am not happy about it. But look, you've been in that place like I've been in that place when it is absolutely rocking, and you've got people virtually sitting on top of each other, but particularly in the student section. And, looks like half of them are going to jump on the field at any moment. But I agree. That's what makes it what they are and who they are. And look, I mean, pretty much almost all the new stadiums being built, you hear that talk. that we've got to put the amenities in there, and the only way we can do that is to lower the seats and spread them out. I mean, look, in this day and age of design and architecture, Mark Diesel, could we do something with these stadiums that pretty much keeps it at the same seating capacity, but you've still got the advantage of the noise that these people generate?
One would think, one would hope. I mean, I just cringe, Brent, at the loss, at greed leading us down a place where we lose what makes college football special.
Well, and you know what they want to do with that is take out those aluminum bleachers and basically put in theater seats. That's where a lot of that is. Now, you would be more comfortable, but in the fourth quarter, if Florida's driving on Tennessee, needing a field goal to win, do you want those aluminum seats at that point with people jumping up and down on and making noise?
Yes, sir. Always. Brent Beard, we can't wait to catch up with you next week after SEC Media Days to get the scuttlebutt of all that is going on, man. We cannot wait. Great to catch up with you, buddy. Have a great weekend.
And I want you to know now that when I come up there and sitting in the studio, there will be snacks available, correct?
For you, Brent, whatever you want. The red carpet. We'll have a butler here for you, sir. Okay?
Hey, how about the ice cream woman coming by, too?
Let's make it happen, buddy. We'll do it for you. We'll see you soon, bud. Have a great week.
Enjoy,
Brent Beard.
guys. Take care.
All right, thank you. Brent Beard, Heisman Trophy voter, First Coast News in Jacksonville. Always dropping some college football news and knowledge on us. By the way, Diesel, reports are that the Kentucky basketball team was hanging out at Drake's house today.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
John Calipari has posted a photo at Drake's house. This is where they are.
Are you sure? I thought that looks like the backside of the White House.
He calls his house the embassy.
Really?
That's what he calls his house. That is in Toronto.
So I know you as a Gator fan, and in general conversation, yes, it does seem like a problem to reduce seating of your stadium. But if code enforcement requires that you expand the seats and expand the aisles, there's nothing you can do about that. That is the law. That is code. You have to do that. And you know that if you make every seat 3 inches wider, you're going to keep taking 3 inches and 3 inches and 3 inches off the end of the row. So you're going to end up losing maybe four seats per row. And then you've got to widen the aisles a little bit. So you're going to lose another 2 seats per row. Trust me, as a fan of a school that squeezes people in there like sardines, having that extra space really, really matters. And like you get to that point where, where your comfort starts to suffer week in and week out. You start to decide, sitting at home in my air-conditioned house and sitting on my lazy boy with a refrigerator 20 feet away, being able to watch this on a big screen and surround sound doesn't seem half bad when you compare it to being squeezed into a phone booth and watching it on hot metal bleachers.
But that's not what they're doing, Diesel. They're making an attempt to make the environment more plush, more premium options. What you want to do if you want more room is expand the stadium, make it bigger. Then each seat can have a little bit more room. Florida's still got a lot of people sitting on metal benches.
Right. But there's nothing that says the stadium couldn't be re-expanded later. If you're packing 75,000 week in and week out, and they say, "Oh man, we're leaving money on the table," don't you think they'll find a way to add more back?
I just worry that in the meantime, they're killing one of the best home field advantages in the sports.
75,000 is still a lot of people.
But it's 75,000 graybeards and retirees.
Right.
And it's not the right kind of fan.
I do want to know, because we see every year the statistics that attendance is falling across the board. I don't know how that specifically pertains to Florida, whether they have maintained their attendance or if Florida is also seeing a small drop off as well. If the stadium holds 88.5, if it holds 88.5, but they're only putting 82 in it week in, week out, then, it behooves you to say, well, we're never going to sell these 4,000 seats again. Let's do what we can and make this, more comfortable for the people who are here.
I'll tell you what, folks, I just had a very disturbing realization. I just said if you shrink the stadium, what you're going to get is a lot of rich people that are buying the seats and a bunch of graybeards. I then looked at our YouTube stream, and I saw quite a lot of gray in my own beard. This is a very disturbing realization. We must make it stop immediately.
Get you an endorsement with Just for Men.
We got to do it just for Mark. Let's make it happen. Are you guys listening? All right, folks, we've got the Upstate's favorite athlete bracket coming your way next with our second to last Sweet 16 matchup. Can you believe after Monday, we'll be down to the Elite Eights. This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. Happy Friday, everybody. Okay, so I still may not understand as a non-native upstater. You guys tell me I get to say that I'm from the upstate when I've been here for 10 years. This is year 5, so I'm not quite halfway there, but hope to get there for sure. So I don't quite fully understand why Marcus Lattimore is as beloved here as he is. I'm not going to hate in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to say that there's other athletes from the upstate that have been great in high school, great in college, right? That didn't have much of a pro career, that are not quite as popular as he is. But let me tell you, congrats to Marcus Lattimore. He advances all the way to the Elite Eight, my friends, all the way to the Elite Eight of our upstate's favorite athlete bracket. So it's going to be fun to witness, fun to watch. And I'll tell you what, man, as we get down in this thing, one more Sweet 16 matchup to go. This is going to become very, very fun. Monday's matchup will determine who Marcus Lattimore faces in the Elite Eight. It's going to be either 2-seed Jim Rice or 6-seed Stanley Morgan. When that is concluded on Tuesday, we will be down to the Elite Eight. Here's what we've already decided. We know that Marcus Lattimore's there. We know that Shoeless Joe Jackson is there. We know DeAndre Hopkins is there. Kevin Garnett has reserved his spot, as has David Pearson, as has Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel in the Rushmore region will take on the winner of today's matchup. And on a Friday, folks, it's only appropriate that we go old school. So let's keep it entirely old school. Out of the Rushmore region for a spot in the Elite Eight, here is the matchup. Now, I love that these two are paired together because it's going to force folks that don't know any better to do a little research. Some are going to be saying, who? Well, here you go. Down to the Sweet 16, it is 5-seed Al Rosen against number 1 seed Betsy Rawls. Al Rosen from Spartanburg, South Carolina. All right, born in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And went on, enrolled in the University of Florida in Gainesville. How about that?
He was only there for a semester.
That's true.
Yeah, he was only there for a semester.
Very true. I didn't know you knew that. But
once a Gator, always a Gator.
Yeah,
right?
let's roll with that. Yeah. Born in Spartanburg, 4-time All-Star. All right, 4-time All-Star, World Series champion, was an AL MVP, was a 2-time AL home run leader. Diesel, there's not a lot of people in this bracket that can compete or contend with what Betsy Rawls can put out there accomplishment-wise. Al Rosen is one of them.
Yeah, this is a slugfest.
Al Rosen is one of them. Literally, career averages 285 batting average, 717 runs batted in, 192 career home runs. How about Betsy Rawls? One of the best golfers of all time, okay? She's got 8 major championships. She's got 55 wins on the LPGA Tour. She went to the University of Texas, but like Al Rosen, what is it with the Berg producing all these unbelievable athletes? Betsy Rawls hails from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and Betsy Rawls is still rocking it out with us here on Earth. She's still here. I said to you guys last time, does anyone have a connection to Betsy Rawls? What I wouldn't give to have Betsy Rawls on the show. Betsy Rawls, the list of her wins does not even fit all on one page. She won the U.S. Women's Open 4 times, won the Women's Western Open twice, won the LPGA Championship twice. Betsy freaking Rawls, one of the all-time best women's golfers, all-time best female golfers. I want to look up a list here, Diesel. All-time best golfers of all time. The 20 best female golfers of all time. Let's see, golfmonthly.com has this list, and what do you know? Betsy Rawls is on the list, right? Betsy Rawls is on the list. If you've got a list of the top 10, top 20 female golfers of all time, Betsy Rawls is on that list. She most certainly is. So anyway, folks, there is the vote that is open to you. You've got Betsy Rawls. You have got Al Rosen. You've got two old school people. You've got a bunch of folks. Look at her, Diesel. I mean, she's got like flair as well. You see that?
Playing golf in a long dress and like a bowler hat.
Yeah, she's got flair. Turned pro in 1951. Joined the LPGA Tour. Won her first event that year. On any list, okay, she is there. Of the greatest female golfers of all time. On any list, she is most certainly there. All right, folks, what do you say? Who gets your vote? Who gets your vote? We do want to hear from you. 71307 is where you get to us on the show today. I was struggling, Diesel, to find like any site that actually ranked them. They just said like, here are the 20 best female golfers, and Betsy Rawls was there. Here are the 10 best, and she's there. I now have a list open that does rank them, and I'm at number 13, and I haven't seen her yet. Betsy Rawls, we're now inside the top 10. We are now at number 7. She comes in at number 6, the 6th best female golfer of all time. The only 5 in front of her, Louise Suggs, Patty Berg, Kathy Whitworth, Annika Sorenstam, and Mickey Wright. 6th best female golfer of all time. Against Al Rosen, a 4-time All-Star, a World Series champion, an American League MVP, a 2-time AL home run leader, a 2-time AL RBI leader, and a Cleveland Guardians Hall of Famer. What a matchup we have for you in the Elite 8. Let your votes come in, folks. 71307. Just start your vote. Start your text with the word fan, and away you go here on the show. Who gets your vote and why? Is it Al Rosen or is it Betsy Rawls? Diesel, what do you got?
Oh, man, these are two just legends in their field. It's tough, guys. It's really tough to compare these resumes, but that's what we do here. 4-time All-Star, World Series champion, 53 AL MVP, 2-time home run leader versus arguably, should probably be higher on that list, a top 5 golfer of all time. I'm gonna go with Betsy Rawls on this one.
I'm going with a Betsy.
She was just a monster on the course, and she was doing it with crap equipment.
Yeah,
you know, in a time when there was probably next to no investment in women's golf. Like she's a goat. She's an absolute goat.
Do you guys feel as though Betsy Rawls could take out Marcus Lattimore, or does Marcus Lattimore's recency put him over the top? Folks, if this is a bracket by a slightly different name, I will come after every single one of you if Betsy Rawls didn't win the Upstate's best athlete. I will come after you, okay? There is nobody from the Upstate. Perhaps Shoeless Joe Jackson Diesel has an argument, but between Betsy and Shoeless Joe, there's no argument there, okay? Those are the two all-time best athletes from this area. But it's called the Upstate's favorite athlete, right? It's not the best athlete. If it was the best athlete, it would be a pretty boring vote. Diesel and I would be legitimately getting pissed off. Al Rosen, look, he's a guy that needs a lot of reminding as to, oh, he's from here. We got that a lot with him, right? Oh, he's actually from the Upstate. Betsy Rawls, nominated multiple times. Everybody knows who she is. My vote is for Betsy. One of the top 5, top 10 female golfers of all time. Who knows her? Who I will be forever in debt to you if you know Betsy Rawls and you can help get her on this show.
From number 6 to number 1, the only other name I recognize, Mark, is Annika Sorenstam.
Yeah, me too.
And I knew the name Betsy Rawls.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the name Betsy Rawls. That means you are putting her in the conversation with Annika Sorenstam.
You are. You most certainly are.
By the way, shout out to a brand new viewer, brand new watcher on our YouTube stream, Mark L. He said he's been listening to the show over the radio for quite a long time. This is his first time jumping into the YouTube stream. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, Mark, thanks so much, buddy. Do appreciate it. Great name, by
He
the
spells
way.
his name the right way.
Oh, great name, by the way. Mark, do you realize that Marks with a K have 36% more testosterone than Marks with a C? This hurts me every single day, Mark. Every single day. Please hit the subscribe button, sir, if you have not already. Thanks so much for coming in. Up next on the show, Diesel and I will tell you something that we would change about Clemson and South Carolina. That's next here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate.
Oh.
It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate.
Your camera became disconnected. Now you're just watching, Mark.
That's weird.
Yeah. Refresh and join back in the stream.
Oh, man. How did that happen?
I don't know.
Sorry about that, guys.
So they just got me in front of an ugly purple Furman flag.
I can't, Diesel. It's on that computer, and that computer is off.
Nothing. Well, no, it's on your computer. It's all on your computer.
I dragged it over there.
Yeah.
What is going on? Okay, guys, this is incredibly weird. I don't even know what's going on. I'm hearing myself reverberate through my own ears. I have no idea what's going on. I apologize. This is odd. This is weird. But I wanted to ask you guys this question. All right. What is one thing you would change about Clemson or South Carolina? One thing you would change, Clemson or South Carolina. Okay. What would be your vote for what you would change? All right. I want you to think about that. And I want to tackle that next with you in the top 5 at 5. I've got one for each that you haven't heard before. All right. And it's after my experience, 4.5 years of being in the upstate. I think both sides would be better off if they did this. What's one thing you would change about Clemson or South Carolina? That, my friends, is next. And this is Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, top 5 at 5 coming your way as well, right here on the Fan Upstate. What the hell?
It's all right. It's a good thing we were going off to commercial break. We can
ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RA.
Man, you're getting creamed on the YouTube comment section. Rick Peeler says, I subscribe to the channel and instantly knock out Mark's camera. Beware of the boo hag. JD Wyatt says, Diesel, I was doubting Mark, not you, when he said that he wasn't sure we were going to be back for the top 5 at 5.
Some would say that Rick just made the show better by knocking out my camera. You know, some would say that, Rick, and I think Diesel just might agree with you there. So thank you very much for doing a service, Rick, for all. Hey, guys, I am going to be tonight at Bon Secours Wellness Arena for Cole Swindell and Thomas Rhett. And Diesel, to show you my extensive country music knowledge, I had to continue to open the email to tell you who, in fact, I would even be seeing tonight. But I can tell you that Angela is incredibly excited about it. We had other plans, and once we realized we could get tickets to this, changed those plans. And she said, this is the one show that I really want to see. Cole Swindell, Thomas Rhett. What can you tell us, Diesel, about either one?
I don't know either one of those guys. I mean, I know the name Cole Swindell. I know Keith Sweat, but I don't know Thomas Sweat.
Yeah.
I've only ever been to 2 country shows. The first one was Toby Keith in Simpsonville. And a good friend of mine who works on our one of our local country stations. I was about to say competition, but you know, I'm on a rock station. He's on a country station. We're not really competing. He was able to get us back into a meet and greet with Toby Keith because Ashley loves Toby Keith.
I was just about to
loves
ask you
Toby Keith. And so I go back there. Toby's there in his OU hat. And just in my opinion, I don't know. I don't want another Bob Caslin situation here. In my opinion, Toby Keith was absolutely hammered at like 3:30 in the afternoon. And we're you know, halfway back in the line. We get up to him and he says, I hope you guys enjoy the show. And I said, well, Toby, you're going to have to bring it. Like, you're going to have to bring it tonight. This is my first ever country show. And he said, well, what took you so long? I said, I don't really like country music.
Oh, no. So
he gave me the get the H out of my face look.
Is there look, we've got a very good female listenership here on the show. We've got quite a few really loyal P1 female listeners on the show. But my question to you guys is this. Is there any artist that if you took your wife, significant other, fiance there, if the ball bounces the wrong way for you, you go there married and you leave single? Like, she's got such a crush on the performer that you're seeing. That flashed across my mind. I actually joked with Angela about that tonight. She goes, I said, is this one of those where I go married and I come back single? Like, because you were like fawning over these guys. And she goes, no, he's married. Don't worry. He's married. But if he wasn't married, Diesel, do you have anybody like that? Do you guys have anybody like that where your wife is, or your lady friend is crushing on somebody to such a degree that it's like, am I really going to take her here and lose her here? Is that really going to happen? Who's that for you?
Thank God. I don't think there's anyone. I think I am her sun and her moon.
I think you're full of crap. I think you're totally full of crap.
No, she's dragged me to a couple of shows though that like I'm just like this ain't my stuff. She dragged me to Lady Gaga in Atlanta.
Did you live for the applause?
I don't remember much of that show either because I was hammered at that one.
Very good. Very good. Diesel, can you quickly, and I have no idea how Diesel's going to describe this, but can you tell our audience, Diesel, of the little rendezvous that you saw me having yesterday after the show? Can you bring our audience in? This was not a fun time for me, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
Diesel, I didn't know Diesel was observing the whole thing from the observation deck up here.
Yeah,
but he was.
Yeah, so our palatial studios are here on the second floor of the building here on Garlington Road, and you know, I'm finishing up the show, editing podcasts, editing promos together, and I stand up to just like walk towards the bathroom, and I see Mark with 2 car doors open. His driver door is open. Yeah. His passenger might have been your rear passenger door open. Yep. And he's standing there with his hands out with this like, what happened? What just happened? And he's like spinning circles. Like he's going so fast. I think he's going to take off like a helicopter. And he's just looking around like, the hell? So I text him. And I was like, is everything okay down there? And it takes him a minute to see the text, but he's going side to side, bouncing side to side on both sides of his car.
Okay, I want Diesel to finish the story, but just so you know, guys, the emotion that I had was sheer terror. Okay. So whatever Diesel was seeing was me having sheer terror going through my
this is the second sheer terror moment I've seen you in. But yeah, you're just like, you're looking around like, what happened? I was like, what did you lose? You know, you had that face like that every guy gets when you've lost something that you know is like right there beside you. That's my perception of what was going on at the time. So I text you, is everything okay down there? And then you call me back and say,
guys, ladies and gentlemen, straight up, you guys tell me I get the Husband of the Year award because I'm taking Angela tonight. Let me see their names again. To see Thomas Rhett and Cole Swindell at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena after my wife did this to me. All right. Now, earlier this week, I took her to a doctor's appointment. Her car was in the shop and she brought food in the car. Okay. It was a piece of peanut butter toast. She left the peanut butter toast in my back seat that I did not realize was still there 3 days later. That is not what terrified me, folks. What did terrify me is upon opening the door, at the floorboard of where my feet was going to go, and directly because the peanut butter was in my car, was the largest palmetto bug that I have freaking ever seen. This thing was gnarly. It was massive.
Been eating that high protein peanut butter.
And that thing just flat got into a food coma on the floor. And it's right where you put your feet. So, folks, I just wasn't going in there. I had to like ponder and contemplate how I was getting myself out of the situation. So anyway, I get a text from Diesel. Dude, you okay? No, I'm not okay. All right, Diesel, I'm not okay. This is at my floorboard.
Wow, that's a big one. That's almost like an Egyptian scarab. The thing is huge.
I'm like, this is in my floorboard. I'm not entering my car right now. And ladies and gentlemen, if there was any question about my level of manhood, now you have confirmed the answer. Okay. Diesel saw me taking the walk of shame around my car, refusing to get in. All right, my friends, what would be one thing that you would change about Clemson or South Carolina? One thing you would change. Diesel, here I go. Okay, one thing that needs to be changed about Clemson or South Carolina is as follows. Clemson needs to be more open to outside opinion. They do. Everyone that works at Clemson is incredibly nice. But there is this feeling at Clemson like it's a little bit like The Truman Show, right? You ever seen that movie, The Truman Show, Jim Carrey? It's like it's in its own bubble, and it's protected from anything outside of said bubble. And, I've never said that Clemson is a cult, but those who do, that's what they're talking about, right? It's completely insulated from anything. I happen to know that on their network pregame and postgame show, they don't take any calls. They don't want any dissent. They want it to be just positive thoughts, positive affirmations. And my belief is that Clemson could be more open to outside opinion. I've never heard of pre and post game shows that don't take calls because they want to control the message. I've never heard of that before. Clemson's got a ton going for it, but I absolutely think they could be more open to outside opinion, right? A lot of you guys that support Clemson are too afraid even to mention anything that even to be critical about anything, because it goes against what happens in the Truman Show, right? There's nothing but rainbows and gumdrops inside the bubble. I think more openness could be seen. For South Carolina, I want them to ban the bottom 10%, Diesel. Ban them. Find them, seek them out. Do not allow them any affiliation with the school. Do not allow them in the games. Diesel, if you get ejected at Williams-Brice Stadium, banned for life. Banned for life. Because that is exactly the kind of fan that gives the Gamecocks a bad name. You know, half the time, folks, when you see videos of fans acting unruly, it's a Gamecock fan. Ban those idiots for life, okay? The bottom 10 percenters. Get rid of them because we've already established that South Carolina, their bottom 10% is worse than anybody else's bottom 10%. Get rid of them. Block them on Twitter. No access to your Gamecock football page. No access to your basketball games, to your football games. They do not exist. That's what I would do. Something that needs to change about Clemson or South Carolina. All right, Diesel, what do you got?
Yeah, so Clemson fans need a little bit of an edge. They really need to find their edge because you're right. It is sort of Stepford Wives. You know, it is very sanitized. So they need to come off of their nobody speaks ill of the program mentality. You know, we've seen it. How dare you question Dabo Swinney and his methods? Well, that's what we do here. Like everybody criticizes. These people even criticize in their own minds and in their own friend groups, but they are deathly afraid for some reason to speak out publicly. And I don't understand that. I don't understand that mindset at all. It's a very, very insular community of people. And it seems to be that is pervasive in everything that they do. So, hey, at least Clemson fans are consistent on that point. South Carolina fans need to lose their edge. There's a lot of South Carolina fans that have this really prickly attitude. And I think where that starts to fix that issue is that Gamecock fans need to self-police. You need to admonish each other. That is not how we do things. We are a more hospitable fan base than this. You are making us all look bad. So, look, somebody from the outside saying, now don't do that, never works. Gamecock fans have got to learn to self-police, and especially within their athletic department, they need to be more open to criticism as well.
Yeah.
It is you said one mean thing about us and we shut you out.
It very much is. Very much is. And it's that way among some Clemson fans as well. Quick little story. Leaving the Palmetto Bowl last year, a Clemson fan comes up to me and he goes, Mark Ryan, I saw the shirt. Cool, man. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you. He goes, Dabo's got to go. And I said, after one game, he goes, I'm tired of this. Dabo's got to go. And I said, okay, what's your name? I'd like to attribute this to you on Monday. No, man, I'm not doing that. Well, what's your first name? No, I'm not doing that. Dabo's got to go, but he wouldn't put his name on it. Why? Because of that very, very culture issue that we're talking about here, right? By the way, Shadow of Death Valley says, good to hear. Good to see you, Shadow of Death Valley. We got to get together with Johnny Carrots for breakfast sometime soon, man. He said, that's a great call, Mark. Imagine not opening the phones after winning national title games, right? And then he says about South Carolina, the problem is their bottom 10% is like 50% for other fan bases, right? I'm telling you, it's the worst I've ever seen. Texter says South Carolina needs to change the number of championships in the trophy case. Bottom 10%er. There you go. Texter says, first, I would change the colors. Love Clemson despite the damn colors. Would also chase more rough-rounded players. We want all them goody-good players. We need some dogs on the roster. Yeah, like it's time to get rid of the feel-good stories. You know, who was the safety a couple years ago, Diesel? Like the 6-year starter, the 6-year starter at safety a couple years ago.
Bullware?
No, but those kind of guys, you know, the feel-good stories, they need some dogs on the roster. I agree.
You know, Clemson is in a unique position that they could be pulling in transfers from the biggest programs in the Southeast. They could be pulling in transfers from Georgia because Georgia has guys that transfer out. Alabama has guys that transfer out. There's other Tennessee players transfer out. You don't take South Carolina transfers because, that would never happen at Clemson. Per Darian Rencher.
Nolan Turner is the guy I was talking about.
Aha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nolan Turner plays very well against ACC competition, against in Clemson system. Plays LSU and gets cooked the entire freaking game. The entire game.
Yeah.
Every single day, the entire game.
But you're a national championship caliber program, And, you've fallen on hard times for Clemson, which is still
Sure.
elite times for almost everyone else. But you have the ability to pull in elite transfers, and you're not taking it. Like, these are supremely talented guys that want more. They are hungry, and they want more. Go get them.
Texter also says, Mark Ryan, I would move the football stadium at South Carolina from where it's at to on campus because it's so impersonal at the state fairgrounds. It just stinks. Texter says, the thing I'd love to change about the Gamecocks is the total overall attitude of our fan base. No more loser mentality. Folks, these are great. These are great. I mean, like, all of yours, I haven't seen one yet where I thought, man, this isn't on point. This is way off base. Texter says, as a Tiger fan, shut up, Shadow of Death Valley. We haven't been to the Natty in 3 years. We got to get a better drum to beat than the 2 Natties in 4 years. Well, look, man, he has high standards. You should have high standards. Nothing wrong with having high standards.
Well, the most important national championship is the one that you're chasing.
Yes, sir. All right, Diesel, let's do this. Top 5 at 5. 5 top 5s in 5 minutes because we've got our Georgia team preview coming your way next. The top 5 at 5 is maybe going to start.
Well, I had it, but I moved it because I didn't think you were going to do it in this segment.
Okay.
Now I got to move it back.
Oh, my bad.
So hang on. We're getting there. Go.
Boom. Number 5. Hit it.
That was buffoonery. That was complete and total buffoonery.
5.
Did you guys hear the shade that Brent Venables threw at Miami? He said, look, we were 6-7 at Oklahoma last year, but there's lots of ways you can be 6-7. None of them are any good, right? But had we gotten blown out by a Middle Tennessee, had we gotten beat by a Florida State 45-3, the conversation's probably a little different. Well, if only there was a team who did fall to that fate. It was Miami. Miami lost to Middle Tennessee. Miami lost 45-3 to Florida State. Clearly referencing Miami's campaign. Miami finished 6-7. Brent Venables said, not all 6-7s are created equally. Is this onside or offsides? Mediocrity is mediocrity. I kind of get the sense that the media wants to crown Oklahoma's ass like they do every year with Miami, right? Doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. I want to see what Brent Venables can do with a year under his belt. I don't feel like Oklahoma is going to come and run roughshod over the SEC by any stretch. Oklahoma fans can get used to 8-4, 9-3 on the regular. Next up.
4.
All right. Recapping our Gamecock powwow from the other day. We had a conversation where we asked you guys, is Beamer going to be closer to Will Muschamp when all is said and done, or is he going to be closer to Steve Spurrier? And we said, look, there's a lot of similarities between Beamer and Muschamp thus far. And Brad Crawford went boom. Brad Crawford went absolutely boom. The reality, folks, is, look, we were fair. Anybody who listened to the audio knows that we presented really good points back and forth. Right? It's just that sometimes those who want to drink the Kool-Aid for the school don't see it. Right? I do believe that Shane Beamer did all he could in year 1 and year 2. Was not dealt a great hand. Is 2 for 2 at achieving his potential. I believe he's going to be a Frank Beamer at South Carolina. He's going to be a Gamecock lifer, retiring at the age of 68. He's going to find a ton of joy there. But everyone wants to get mad at the headline. It's an epidemic in our society today. They don't read, they don't listen, they get mad at the headline. We've been nothing if not totally right down the line and totally fair to the Gamecocks. Next up.
3.
At number 3, I ranked all SEC programs today on the whole, as in their current reputation that factors in their history. That's basically like, what are the best jobs in the SEC, right? Here we go. 16 Vanderbilt, 15 Mississippi State, 14 Missouri, 13 Arkansas, 12 Kentucky, 11 South Carolina, 10 Ole Miss, 9 Auburn, 8 Tennessee, 7 Texas A&M,
Despicable.
6 Florida, 5 Oklahoma, 4 Texas, 3 LSU, 2 Georgia, and 1 Roll Tide.
I love my job.
How did we do? How did we do, ladies and gentlemen? Let us know. Next up,
2,
at number 2 on the top 5 at 5 today. Well, Tennessee avoided a bowl ban. How on earth did this happen? The NCAA announced, as a result of Tennessee's failure to monitor under Jeremy Pruitt, was fined $8 million. In other words, what they paid Nico Yamalieva to attend school there. That's their 5-star quarterback for next year. They fined him 3% of their football budget, 5 years probation, and this is the only part that's going to hurt, 28 total scholarship reduction. Hundreds of violations occurred during Jeremy Pruitt's tenure with the Vols. Why did they not receive a bowl ban? Because the NCAA said they were exemplary in their follow-up and in their cooperation.
No rules were broken. Nothing was done wrong.
And finally,
1,
our Upstate's favorite athlete bracket, our second to last matchup in the Sweet 16. Congrats to Marcus Lattimore. Apologies to Sam Weich, for Marcus Lattimore is now in the Elite Eight. Today's matchup, straight out of the old school. It is 4-time MLB All-Star, World Series MVP Al Rosen against one of the top 5 or top 10 golfers in the sport's history, Betsy Rawls. If you are listening to the show right now, please get your vote in for one or the other. Betsy Rawls or Al Rosen. Winner goes to the Elite Eight. We will begin our Elite Eight on Tuesday's edition of the show. And those, I bet you didn't think I could do that fast, did you? Those are today's top 5 at 5. Now it's your chance to chime in, which you can do at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FAN-FONE. That's 844-326-3663. The text line is there for you at 71307. Start your text with the word fan, and away you go. You can get to us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. At the Fan Upstate on all 3. Please, we'd love to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, the Fan Upstate, and hit that red subscribe button. And then finally, email. You guys can all email the show. Mark Ryan, that's M-A-R-C Ryan, at thefanupstate.com. All the different ways you can get in touch with us here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. Texter votes for Al Rosen. Texter says, what's the Anderson radio station number? I don't know what that means. Texter says, probably a stupid question, but what is a P1 listener? Texter, there are no stupid questions. There's just stupid people who ask questions. No, I'm just kidding, Texter. P1 listener are our ride or diers.
Priority number 1. It's what you would put as number 1 on your car stereo if your car stereo still had radio presets.
That's it. That's it. Like, are we number 1 on your presets? Are you a ride or dier right with us? Do you listen to our shows and our station religiously? Those are the P1s. Coming up, folks, we continue our ACC and SEC team preview series tradition. The Georgia Bulldogs are up next here on Offsides.
Stream, it's been a blast again today. Thank you all. JD, Madcraft, Dan B, Shadow of Death Valley, who stayed in here longer than he normally does. He normally just does a drive-by, insults the Gamecocks, and takes off. Rick Peeler, new guy here. Thank you so much for joining us. Anybody here who has not yet hit the subscribe button on our channel, please do so, because we are 2 away from hitting 250. That's our first big milestone for this channel.
Look at Brandon.
Nice.
Brandon, what's good, buddy?
Yeah, we're 2 subs away from our first big milestone of 250 subscribers. So keep on inviting those friends. Keep on sending out the link to your buddies. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys back on the stream on Monday.
Yes, sir.